I'm Trish Hopkins, and I've been working for BYU-Idaho since 2010, and I teach English, and I love working here, and I have a lot of friends who you'll see some of them today in this presentation, and this is
Shay. I'm Shay Thompson, and I've been here since 2011, mostly teaching the English 201 class, and I've done some halfway. And I enjoy working here as well. It's far different than any secular environment, and it's amazing how we can infuse the spirit in our educational experience. So we are going to start this bit, right?
Okay. But just real quick, Shay and I actually met through our teaching group, and we become friends through being in teaching groups together and actually carrying that outside of our teaching groups. So it's very well, I think it's just very special that our presentation is about getting the best out of your teaching groups, because I certainly have that with Shay and with some other people, and so I think that this is going to be a great presentation if you take it into your heart and really apply it, which is one of the things that we do here at BYU-Idaho. So we're going to start by showing you an Adobe Connect meeting in real life.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is the first teaching group meeting of the semester. I'm so excited to serve as your TGL. I look forward to getting to know all of you. We will start with our icebreaker. Whoops, my share code. See, isn't this such a great share code? Aren't you? Didn't you just love my share code? But it's covering up the attendee pod. I can't see who's here, but you know what? It's really important that we start on time. So I set the doorbell up, so it's going to ring whenever anybody comes in, so we'll be good. All right, so give me a snapshot of your life in the form of a rose. Either a thorn or a bud. So who's that?
What exactly do you mean by bud?
Is that Jared? I hear Jared, our new community manager, mentioned that he would mention us tonight. Is he joining us?
No, this is Ben.
Oh, well, okay. Well, a rose is something going well in your life. A thorn is a challenge, and a bud is something that you're looking forward to.
Mommy, I want to play on the computer and do PBS Kids.
Honey, Mommy's got a meeting. Mommy's got a meeting.
It's okay, honey.
Well, my rose is that it's summertime. My thorn is that I've got a stack of papers to grade tonight. And my bud is my vacation plans.
What were the questions again?
Well, okay. Tell me something that's going well in your life, something that's challenging, and something that you're looking forward to.
I found something in my nose. Hey! Sorry I'm late, you guys. I was walking my dog. Shh.
Okay, well, you know what? I think I'm just going to post these instructions in the chat pod so that when people come late, they'll know what to do. Okay, we'll post these in the chat pod.
Hey, Shay, your mic is ghosting baby sounds in Sesame Street. You think you can mute it? Shay appears distracted and deaf.
Okay, so what are we doing again? Okay, so my rose is my dog Blue, and I totally love him. He's the love of my life. You heard me. My thorn is, we all have those entitled students that think that we should give them all A's for doing nothing. And my bud is my upcoming vacation plans. I'm going to Harry Potter World.
Sorry I'm late. I was coming from a primary presidency meeting, and we left a lot of unfinished business because I had the rest of this meeting. But you know what? I've been here for 5 years, and I can do two things at once. So I'm just gonna mute my mic, and I'm just gonna make my phone call. Okay. Hi, yes, we're in the we need to plan our primary program, and you know what? It's important that we have a rehearsal in the chapel, and it's important that we have 2 choruses, the girls and the boys. So yeah, this is going to be an awesome program.
This is fun. Private conversation and lose the mic.
What? My mic's on? Oh no, that mute button didn't work. Sorry. What? How is this meeting already going? I'm half an hour early. Let me check my email. Oh, it was at 8 p.m. Pacific time. I thought it was Mountain time. So what are we doing?
Well, we were doing the icebreaker, but I think we are just going to move on to our standards discussion. We're going to talk about developing relationships with students through discussion board best practices. We're all just going to move over to this other room I've created where I put the whole chat pod. Where is that chat pod I created? I was going to have 2 groups answer specific questions. I created the best discussion board. I can't find that. All right, well, we're just going to have to go back and stay here, and you'll just have to tell me your best practice on your mind.
Mine is every single day here at BYU-Idaho.
Does anybody else have a practice?
I have a 3-1-1 approach that I'd like to share.
Oh, well, you know, that's great, Ben, and we'll listen to that great idea in just a minute. Trish, your hand is still up. Did you have another idea?
No, but I don't know how to put my hand down.
Patty, what is your best practice?
Patty, we can't hear you.
Can't hear anything.
Can't hear anything. No audio.
What's yours, Shay? Shay?
Oh, I'm
Where'd
sorry.
you go?
I'm sorry, I got put it out. What did I miss?
Jared, I wasn't expecting you.
I've been here the whole time.
Oh, well, so here's Jared, our community coordinator. Could you share some words of wisdom on discussion board best practices?
It's better to be a guide on the side than a sage on the stage.
Well, you know what? You just said it best, Jared. I think on that note, we just need to end.
Oh, you should post this TGL meeting in the community.
That's my other stuff.
All right, well, you know what? I will post the recording and the recap in our group's community space. You know what? I forgot to hit the record button. Well, I'll post the recap of the meeting highlights anyway. Hey, good night, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. This has been such a great meeting.
Good night. Okay, as you can see, Adobe Connect meetings are when we do, our teaching groups don't always go as planned. But I want to say that when we came up with this presentation, the people that were in the skit today, they all rallied around us. Most of them I know personally from being in teaching groups. So how awesome is that, that we come up with an idea, we share it with our friends, and they're like, hey, I want to be part of it. And I have a testimony that our teaching groups can be the heart of our faculty experience here at BYU-Idaho. And I know teaching at other colleges, I don't have that. I don't have that connection with my colleagues, and I don't have those friendships that continue to grow semester after semester and year after year.
Okay, I agree, and I feel like our teaching group is our lifeline to one another, and it helps us to strengthen what we're doing with students. So, the title of our slide is Magnamious Teaching Groups.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know the definition of this word, but according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it is showing or suggesting a lofty or courageous spirit, showing or suggesting nobility of feeling and generosity of mind. I think if we use critical thinking, that we can just see that those people that I know from, or that we know from teaching groups, have shown generosity of mind by supporting us, by being part of something fun, and by just rallying around. I think that's really important. If we rally around, if we get to know the people in our teaching groups well enough, we will want to do these things. We will want to help them and pray for them and think about them outside of our teaching group meetings and those small slivers of time that we have every semester with them. So taking ownership and accountability is really important. I know that before I was a TGL, I kind of thought, you know, it's another meeting I have to go to when I'm grading all these papers. But as a TGL, I learned really fast that really each person needs to take accountability of being part of the teaching group. It's not just the TGL's responsibility to bring everybody together and to nourish them. We need to be nourishing each other. So when we look at the information in the online community, we are offered direction with the mission and central aim for our work here as online faculty members. So I'm sure that you're familiar with the mission and central aim to build testimonies of the restored gospel of Jesus Christ, to encourage living its principles, provide a quality education for students of diversity and abilities, prepare students for lifelong learning, for employment, and for their roles as citizens and parents, maintain a wholesome academic, cultural, social, and spiritual environment. And the central aim of the online courses organization is to extend the BYU-Idaho experience through the creation and delivery of online learning model-based courses with remote instructors who build students' testimony and skill. So that's what we're doing for the students. Okay. And now let's flip this a bit and let's apply these to our teaching groups and to one another as colleagues. So if we reword it just a little bit to make it, you know, on the faculty focus, we help our teaching group mates build testimonies of Jesus Christ and encourage living the standards. We share ideas within our discipline and encourage best practices on online learning. We are diverse groups. You know, I'm sure that you have been in diverse groups with much to offer one another. And eventually, this will get out to our students. If we are building each other up, then we will be employing our best practices without even thinking about it. We are preparing ourselves and inspiring our colleagues in lifelong learning, our teaching in the craft in the field, and for our roles as citizens and parents. We maintain a wholesome academic, cultural, social, and spiritual environment by making our group an extended family. So I think of it like at church, we have our ward family. And if you've ever been in a sacrament meeting and someone gets up and they say, I just love everybody here, you're my ward family. That's what we can do in our teaching groups. We should be teaching group families. We should love each other. And I'm not saying that everybody in the teaching group is gonna really just be best friends, but we should be doing this. Now, I have a personal experience with a brother that was in a teaching group with me, and we kind of just went like this. And it got really bad. To the point where I was down, I was in tears, I was praying, you know, Heavenly Father, I don't know why we're not getting along. And so it got to the point where or at least I got my feelings hurt, I'm not sure about him, but it got to the point where we had to actually have a phone conversation and kind of clear the air, because his intention was not to hurt my feelings. I found out through that phone conversation. But he realized that we needed to start working together and get to know each other. So I have a friendship with him outside of BYU-Idaho now. And we email, and we are working on creative things together, because we're both creative writers. And it's an incredible experience to me, the testimony of the importance of teaching groups, because I could have just dismissed this person and said, no, he's a jerk, I don't like him, you know, and I would have missed out on a lot, because we really are friends now, and we really care about each other. And I know that it's kind of, might be weird for somebody to think who would saw us in the group in the first place, that we would be friends outside of work, but It's because of these things that we can do and taking accountability of doing our best in our teaching groups. So the central aim of the online course organization is to, for faculty, extend our faculty BYU-Idaho experience through the creation and delivery of learning, model-based courses with remote instructors who build one another's testimony and skill. And I know that many of us have been in teaching group meetings and somebody's sharing a spiritual thought, and it's just really powerful. I know that I've asked certain people I've been in groups with who've done spiritual thoughts, can I have your PowerPoint or your, your thought? Because I like it. I want to put it up on my wall. It was that, spiritual, it was that touching. So we should be building one another's testimonies and skills, but that includes participation. It starts with us. It doesn't start with anybody else in our group. It doesn't start with our teaching group leader. It starts with us individually. So I think of it as setting sail with friends in the same boat, because we're all teaching similar courses. Some of us teach the same courses, and every single semester I have a situation, or I'm a shoulder to cry on for somebody else with when something goes wrong with students, or we feel like we're not good enough, we're not giving our best, and it's, we're all in the same boat. And so if I go to one of my teaching group friends and I say, I just don't think I can go on another semester. I looked at some of my midterm evaluations and they weren't so kind, and I think I'm doing a good job, but maybe I'm not. And then to have somebody say, well, what about this situation or that such situation last semester? Remember that student that you really turned around? And so I think it's important that we have this mindset that we're on this journey together.
Okay, so what is our perspective? How do we see ourselves in the big picture? We've chosen to teach here, and within that framework, how do we see our efforts and our outcomes? And I think one of the main strands in our efforts is the collegiate experience. I know from personal experience, as Trish has mentioned, that support that I get from other teachers really helps me to stay afloat in that boat. So we're thinking about what are we focusing on and what is our perspective. In charting our navigation, the ultimate perspective is the eternal one. And this supports the crux of our school. And I pulled this from the eternal perspective of the gospel by Elder Rafael Pino. Perspective is the way we see things when we look at them from a certain distance, and it allows us to appreciate their true value. And in thinking about that quote, I wrote, we need to recognize that our choices as teachers and colleagues impact our students. What is our gospel perspective? So when we take a contract to teach a class, how are we focused on the eternal aspect of it, not just the paycheck, not just the week-to-week activity, but what are we doing in our courses and with one another, specifically as this presentation focuses on, with our colleagues to have an eternal perspective. Elder Pino remarks also that it is extremely important that we do not make decisions of eternal value from the perspective, I think that's supposed to be an of mortality. For decisions that affect eternity, having a gospel perspective is essential. How does this apply to online learning and teaching groups? Already in the online forum, we're a bit separated from one another, as we know. Virtual learning is still relatively new in the scope of education at large. And I think we need to take it upon ourselves to use the spiritual understandings that we have in every setting where we are. And so it absolutely applies to online learning. Otherwise, our church leaders wouldn't be in this movement forward with online learning and social media and the like. In applying that understanding, where can we take this as teachers? I'm posing a set of questions that we're not going to have a discussion on in class, but these are questions that you can think about for yourself. What is my attitude toward my teaching? And I think that really comes down to how we feel when we pull up the class. I know that having taught mostly in secular environments, when I pull up a BYU-I class, I immediately feel the spirit. I feel like I'm in a different place. And so my attitude is automatically affected just by the setting of where I am. Do I see my students, my colleagues, and myself on the journey spiritually or merely temporally? Am I obligated or enthused? And in the talk given this morning, we were reminded about obligation versus enthusiasm, obligation versus a willingness that we have inside. And so that is another idea to ponder. And do you see your students as life forces beyond the 14 weeks that you have them? 3, how do I make decisions? Decisions about time management, priorities, and how I relate to those the Lord has paired me with in this teaching Magnamious group opportunity. And I use the word opportunity strongly here because I see every teaching position I have as an immense opportunity. I work not to have burnout, and I don't know statistically how much burnout there is in higher ed, specifically here at BYU-Idaho, but how are we envisioning our participation? And in our skit previously, you could see that was an extreme version of not prioritizing your experience in your group. But what are you doing when the group's going on? Are you thinking about other things? Are you really focused on what you've been asked to do and what people are sharing? So what is our ultimate aim? Another way to navigate is to aim for perfection. And this seems like a lofty goal because we're often told, don't try to be perfect, do your best, right? But from an eternal perspective, doing your best really is a direction toward perfection. This comes from chapter 6, Becoming Perfect Before the Lord, a little better day by day. Because that lofty goal seems maybe out of reach, we need to look at it as a step-by-step process. From teachings of the presidents of the church, Lorenzo Snow said, we cannot become perfect at once, but we can be a little better day by day. Do you envision your life as a set of steps toward this magnificent goal? We're not going to be perfected in this life here on earth, but how are we moving toward a greater goal in each of the smaller decisions that we make? He also said, in all your acts and conduct, ever have the consciousness that you are now preparing and making yourselves a life to be continued through eternities. Act upon no principle that you would be ashamed or unwilling to act upon in heaven. Employ no means in the attainment of an object that a celestial enlightened conscience would disapprove. That's quite a calling there in that statement. And I'm wondering how many of us in our teaching groups are emphasizing this. How are we, again, envisioning our individual role within the context of the group members that we get to meet with? And again, we want to see that as opportunistic. We have an opportunity to meet with our groups. It's not an obligation. So in pondering this direction, how do we see ourselves related to the implication that we must carefully consider and or savor every act we make? That can be a challenge, especially in the busyness of day-to-day life. What do our actions say about us? How are our decisions in our teaching group affecting other people? I think sometimes we might lose sight of that, and we need to remember that, even something so small as turning in the weekly reflection, that's impacting the teaching group leader. That's also impacting data, where our supervisors are looking at participation and interest and enthusiasm from all of us. Is any action too small? We are commanded by the Lord, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. And again, it seems like a grand idea, so we have to look at it in our day-to-day experience. So how can we make each of our steps count? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We all know that famous quote. I have written a poem that actually I wrote for this particular meeting, not to put myself on a pedestal, but I felt like the best way to communicate what I feel is important was to do it in a poem. So I'm going to read that, and I'm going to read it from paper because it's a little awkward turning my head. The purpose of this poem is really coming from my heart. Our emphasis here is heart to heart, and I feel like, am I making the most of everything that I'm doing in every moment of my life? Not just the day, but the moment. And that can be hard to do, but I'll go ahead and read that. It's called In the Moment. If everything could be gold, not fleeting, never crumbling, crying or cold, never evolving into old. If I could keep anything, it would be this moment, where you and I share one embrace, with sunlight vibrant on your face, and we turn to see the blooms down low in the garden of our dreams. And the miracle of growth is what it seems, down low, where land meets the sky, merry and gold and everlasting. Time is something we hold, like sun, like a miracle. If I could share 1,000 more embraces with you, never challenging my chosen season, like the flower in June, one strong bloom, I might magnify this moment. I might have now instead of sometime soon. So I'm going to move on to the next slide.
Thank you for that poem, Shea. This is just an example of something that I learned about Shea early on, is that we both are creative writers and creative thinkers. And I love how she said, the Lord blesses us. We don't just randomly put in teaching groups. I thought that at first, I really did. And some of the people I was in groups with early on, before I caught the vision that we're trying to keep me out, I thought, it's just a random thing. And I even think I tried to say to certain people, can you keep groups, stable, so we can make these friendships? And I truly believe that the Lord puts us in groups, and He changes the groups as people need them to be changed. And we might not recognize that need. But I have some friends that I've had since I started teaching here. So I made friends early on in teaching groups, and then we were separated, but I still talk to them. I still, we still have a support system going. And then I make new friends. Every semester I try to make, if somebody's new in the group I'm in, I try to reach out and get to know that person. I don't know, the Lord actually, we're like fireflies, and we're in a garden, and we just kind of happen upon each other in the moments that the Lord needs an earthly angel to touch one of our lives. And I truly have a testimony of that. And these teaching groups are not random. And we will find, as we make connections, we will find the things the answers to our prayers in the people that we work with. So, I thought about the Cheers theme song. Everybody wants to be in a place where everybody knows their name and they're glad that you came. And that's kind of how I want my teaching groups to be every semester. When I was a TGL, the first semester I was really scared. I was taking over a group that they had a fantastic TGL who couldn't do it anymore. And of course I don't know why. I didn't know why. I just knew I was taking over a group and I didn't know what I was doing. And I felt like, okay, I'm trying to fill some really big moccasins. And then I realized that I need to bring my own moccasins to the group. And I needed to get to know everybody. And I needed to participate. And I have been so rewarded just by taking the time to know people that I might not think I have a connection with. But then I find out I do. And it can be, there's so many different connections I've made, with sisters and brothers here. And so we need to be making our teaching groups this kind of an environment. We have a role in that. So we have a challenge. We challenge you to take ownership of your teaching group by making it a place where you feel happy to be. It starts with you. Once we come in with enthusiasm, it's contagious. Now in the skit, Tracy was very enthusiastic as the TGL, and I've had some very enthusiastic TGLs, and then I've had some that seemed like they felt obligated. I tell you that there's a big difference, but it's not just the TGL, it's all of us. We should all come into this meeting, our meetings, with enthusiasm and respect and love for one another. So it starts by going the extra mile. We say that to our students all the time. Come on, just go the extra mile if you want that good grade. So there's some different things that we can do. We can start a thread in our group space in the community and start sharing fun things. I've been in groups, where we've done that. We just share random fun things, and make sure you subscribe though, or you won't be getting the emails saying go over and see what so-and-so checked out. But that's a fun thing to do. Use the teaching group heart on the next. You were supposed to have handouts, but they're now on the cool app because BYU-Idaho is going so digital. Make sure you get those from our presentation from the app. But there's a teaching heart, and she's going to show you. You can print these out and just kind of start writing things, get to know the people in your group, like their favorite things, their birthday. That's kind of cool to know. So they don't even know the birthday, and all of a sudden you send them a little card or something and say, happy birthday. That, would make my day, and it has made my day before. So there's things that we can do to get to know, and it's fun because you get to see, you make connections in your mind, and then when you start interacting with these people, you think, Trish really loves Mexican food, and Shea really loves the beach, and so does Trish. But, so these are things you can do easily, even in your teaching groups. You can do like fun icebreakers. You can write these things down, and I know that teaching group leaders would support this. So it's important for us to think of being there for each other, and these are all the people in the teaching group here. And we need to, kind of look at everybody in our group, and we need to try to be there for everyone. Yeah, so commit to learning more about your colleagues. Keep them in your prayers. Listen to their needs and offer any measure of help possible. Just this week, I told my teaching group leaders I was coming up to Rexburg, I had a situation, and she was going to the temple, and she put my name on the prayer roll, and then she prayed for me. And she thought about me in the celestial room, and she told me that, and that means everything. That means everything to me. And I thought, you know what? This little problem is just something that I can work through and get around, and it's no big deal. And so that means everything if we're caring about our colleagues that way. So remember, to be better disciple leaders, we must learn to observe and serve those rowing the boat with us. Friendships lasting long beyond this moment can blossom from you. And I can think of one of my friends who's moved to a place where she can't teach for us right now. And I think about her all the time. Things that she did for me and my class as an OCR, but also just the funny, quirky stories that she told me while we were up here at this conference. And I know that when we get up here to these conferences, we come up to campus, it's so exciting. We get to see face to face, and we get to chat, and it's really exciting. We can carry this out until the next year in our teaching groups and in the community, by the way. I know the community is really big, and it kind of looks like, oh, you're gonna get lost. But if you make an effort in your groups and in the community, the friendships that we make and that we maintain, and the feelings that we have when we see each other face to face, if we get that opportunity, can carry on. And I know that when I see somebody I haven't seen in a year face to face, but I've been talking with them throughout the year, it's even sweeter because I know what's going on in that person's life, and they know what's going on in my life, and it's just very comforting. There may be one more. So Shea and I both have a testimony of this. I'm gonna let Shea.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I do have a testimony of making the most of my role in my teaching group. I know that it impacts me in my ability to teach. It's a support system. I've developed friendships that I will keep forever. So the teaching group is much more than just a group of us who are all teaching the same class and let's check in. It really is an opportunity to continue with discipleship, to learn more truth, to build relationships, and really relationships are why we're here. we don't have relationships, I don't think we've lived a full life. So it's just one additional way to develop that and to be the best you can be, and that takes time and it takes a lot of effort. But I know that with that focus, we can make the most of our teaching arrangements.
So I'd say it's not by chance that we work here at BYU-Idaho. The Lord has brought us here to do good work. And we do that good work with our students every day. But we also need to be doing that good work with each other. And we are blessed to work with incredible people. And I work in the English department, but I have met incredible people in business and art and computers and pathway. I mean, we are very blessed. We have some of the most incredible teachers on planet Earth here at BYU-Idaho. And so I think that it would be sad if we didn't take the time while we're here, where the Lord has us here, to make these relationships, build these friendships, and to learn and grow from each other. I'll tell you, I have learned so much from people who teach art that complement what I do in my English classes. And so I just challenge all of us to go right now, this semester. We should have at least one more teaching group Adobe Connect meeting, I think, and we should make the best of that meeting. And going into the next semester that we teach, whether it be summer or fall, probably fall, that we should go in with this attitude of gratitude to be blessed to be part of a teaching group and to be blessed to work amongst such wonderful, talented, and creative people. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you.